Every Christian who seeks to follow the Lord will face trials and tribulations. And this was certainly the case for Brother Marcos de Mena, a Dominican brother who overcame numerous obstacles, all for the sake of preaching the gospel. In the 1580s, the Dominican historian and chronicler Fray Agustín Dávila Padilla was visiting the Dominican brother when he noticed a painting of a man being rescued by two angels in a canoe. Fray Agustín asked Brother Marcos who the man was, to which Brother Marcos responded in profound humility that it was, in fact, himself. Marcos was born and baptized in a small town in Spain in the early 1500s. As a young man, he was sent to the University of Salamanca for advanced studies. Residing in one of the world's most prominent centers for intellectual inquiry suited Marcos, and the Lord blessed him with the gift of wisdom and a desire to learn. Despite his wealth and high standing, Marcos decided to join the Dominicans after finishing his studies. This was not surprising to those who knew him, for they had long witnessed his piety and love of the faith. What shocked his friends and family was the fact that Marcos sought to enter the order of preachers as a brother and not as a priest. Many tried to dissuade him, but his mind was made up. And so Marcos received the habit from the Dominican community at San Esteban in Salamanca, and a year later professed vows on April 29, 1545. Not long after, Brother Marcos was sent to Central America, where he was assigned to numerous houses, often ministering to the indigenous peoples living nearby. He instructed them in the tenets of the faith, taught them daily prayers, and helped them grow in their love of the Lord. Then, after 9 years of ministry, he boarded a ship headed to Spain, homeward bound on provincial affairs for his brothers in Mexico. Three of the 4 ships in his convoy were run aground on the sandbars off Padre Island in the Gulf of Mexico, and 300 souls perished. Miraculously, Brother Marcos and a few others survived and began traveling down the coast, hoping to find their way back to Mexico. But, sadly, their troubles were far from over. Coming to his senses and badly wounded, Brother Marcos carefully pulled some of the arrows from his body and began searching for his comrades. Eventually, he found them, but collapsed from exhaustion and could not be revived. The men, thinking him dead, respectfully buried Brother Marcos in the sand so that his body would not be disturbed by beasts, and then proceeded on their journey. But by the grace of God, he was still very much alive. Rising up from his shallow grave and offering a prayer, Brother Marcos began his journey anew. He traveled for months, living off the land, and encountering no one until he finally arrived at the Panuco River, which he recognized at once. He knelt down to offer a prayer of thanksgiving, and looking back up, spotted 2 men nearby in a canoe. Seeing his distress, the men approached Brother Marcos and wrapped him in a large white cloth. They laid him in their boat and then ferried him to the nearby settlement of Tampico before disappearing. From Tampico, Brother Marcos traveled to Panuco and finally Mexico City, where he underwent numerous surgeries to remove the arrowheads buried in his flesh. All the while, he kept the white cloth as his only physical treasure, convinced that the two men who had saved him were angels sent by God. Brother Marcos remained in Mexico City for over 20 years, serving the friars in the community in spite of his poor health, and at times ministering to pilgrims who passed by the priory on their way to see the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Then, in the 1570s, he was invited to serve as assistant to a Dominican professor in Lima, Peru, where he spent the remaining decade of his life teaching and ministering, and was renowned for his virtue, piety, and gentleness. Whenever he recounted his story and the incredible trials he had faced, Brother Marcos always emphasized how gracious and provident God is to his servants. Brother Marcos de Mena died in the year of our Lord, 1584, a model of fortitude and perseverance for his Dominican confreres and all those who seek to preach the gospel.